found that identity strengthened, hopefully from beginning in their homes, but moving from there into their lives. I mean, look at the president of your board right now, Jeff Kretschmer, a member of our board at Temple Shir Shalom, a real leader, but someone who cares deeply about camp because of his own experiences, and now really wants to make sure that blessing is enjoyed by many others, future generations, and solidifying that. And I think it's such an incredible statement when you see these great leaders today who gain that perspective in camp, right? And not, yes, the joy of Shabbat and the learning and the ruach, right, that we get there, that but also just a sense of community and the sense of importance and priority.
And growth and independence and spiritual drive. We see that at such high levels. I had the honor 2 weekends ago of signing a ketubah for people that grew up at camp, Laura and Jacob as campers and staff members, and now we're growing up in this Jewish community as the next leaders. Now as a married couple and carrying that forward. You mentioned Jeff Kretschmer. He met his wife Jody at camp. I met my wife Robin at camp. I'm not suggesting it has to happen that way, but those connections where you are your most real, you are yourself. You have the opportunity to express yourself as an individual, and to have that comfort and to be nurtured as your own person, and then grow from there. Create your own home, create your own spirit and drive going forward. It's like often, Michael, I will say, it's like the front row seat in life to the best show in town. We are seeing people grow, and we're seeing them take chances. We're seeing them express their own identity, and we're doing it inclusively, and we're doing it with the backdrop of making this world a better place. And to be involved in that in any way, that is the great honor of Jewish camping.
It's really, the fresh air model is something that's so important for us, because if we recall back, I don't know, 100, 20, 30 years ago, 40, when fresh air started, the idea was to take these kids out of the city who were looking like Jews, who were behaving like Jews, who came from Eastern Europe, and take them out of the city into the country and make them Americans. Don't speak that Yiddish, we speak English, and lose the Jewish identity piece, in a sense, of things that outwardly made us look Jewish. And we did it so well, we become an assimilated population. I think Jewish camping for us today is the reverse. It's what we want to bring our kids to this Jewish home, so that they get to live Judaism completely 24/7, ideally, and that is infused into everything they do in the future. That lens we want to create and help. And I will say, there are a lot of great Jewish camps that we're connected to that give us those opportunities, and it's so important for us. And also, you mentioned independence, and for parents who are thinking, should my child go to camp? Overnight camp is such an important growth opportunity for children, for young children, to gain that sense of independence. And I see kids when they go to college, and it's anecdotal, but those who go to overnight camp, I think, transition so much easier when they start college. Just living in rooms with other people, just being able to share space, being able to navigate, uncharted waters. They figure it out easier because they've been through, because camps, it's a blessing because you do that in the context of having people watching you, role models, relationships that guide you with it. And I love when it's done with that Jewish lens and everything.
I think of so many examples of that. Maccabia games at camp, where we celebrate healthy competition. And I think about the way kids grow and learn from what they participated in as a camper. And then we watch them as staff. And they're the ones running around the playground, rooting on the child, afraid to jump into the lake, rooting on the child, afraid to participate, nervous about putting herself out there. And that staff member, who also was nervous, pushing forward the next child under his or her care. That's the spirit of what happens. I could think of our bus departures in a camper from Levison many years ago, very nervous about getting on the bus. Fast forward years later as a counselor, and that was the counselor taking the next camper nervous on the bus, and that growth, that independence, that ability to push beyond your own comfort zone, and for campers to look up to the staff members that have walked that path before. Those are the role models of the future. And again, when you narrow in on it through this Jewish lens, good for Shir Shalom, good for Tamarack Camps, good for our Jewish organizations in this community, all part of that circle of the same kind of push forward. Hopefully that makes our world a better place to live.
Yeah, good role model. I appreciate that very much. Let's pivot for a moment. Speaking of pivoting too, you know, the world we're living in right now, all of us incredibly disappointed last summer when we had to make the decision that camp couldn't occur across the board, and our kids missing out, our staff missing out. Just I'll put the side note. I always believe that camp is equally for our staff as it is for our kids. Those counselors grow so much and have so much experience. And I love hiring people, working with people who've been through that camp model and get that work ethic. But sidebar, sorry. Back to living in the pandemic. Things you guys are doing now as we try to figure out what the unknown in the horizon.
It's a challenge. And it is balanced by our priority always, which has never wavered. I'm very proud of the notion that health and safety is the number one standard in which we live, and nothing falls below that standard ever. And so last summer, we made the very difficult decision that we could not offer what we deemed a healthy and safe environment for our camp community. Not just on our grounds, but we look at our camp community as way beyond our playgrounds and what affects the communities in which our campers and staff come from. And we paused and pivoted and created different virtual playgrounds that we found participation so high throughout the course of the months, and worked very hard to remain connected. This summer, we continued ongoingly conversations with our excellent medical team that understands camp very well, and our experts medically guiding us. And we came to them and said, whatever we could do from a health and safety perspective to open all our programs next year, that's our goal. And what we found is through a lot of hard work and many, many options that we do have opportunities, but not the full scope of what a typical summer offers. And so at this point, we are preparing for the summer of 2021 in Ortonville, Michigan. That's Camp Moss. And we are thrilled that we can open up with health and safety feeling intact, albeit camp looking differently with reduced capacity, with modification in programs. And just to begin the conversation, we haven't even gotten to the medical changes that we recognize would need to take place, and protecting our community within a bubble. All of that looks to be part of the plan as we go forward into Ortonville. Camp Kennedy, which is a much smaller outpost camp, also has an opportunity for us to open and bring kids into a summer experience, which we're thrilled about. The challenge right now are areas that we're not as comfortable opening by way of health and safety, closed borders, the bubble not being intact to the comfort of our medical committee, recognizing that as this pandemic evolves, we don't know exactly where it will evolve as these months continue. And so behind the scenes, we certainly continue to manage with different options. Should something become available to us, our goal is to pivot and open further, and always balanced by the health and safety. Again, as I end this part of the conversation, I'll say, which will never compromise.
Important, and we appreciate that. I also appreciate
even going forward. I just have to say, even as listening to it, it's with such a heavy heart and a mixture of emotions. In one hand, where we can open and we're thrilled and want to welcome as many as we can, and on the other, where all we want is to bring people back home into whatever area of Tamarack camps they could land, and that remains our goal. And I could feel it even as we speak, the challenges of this pandemic in the way we're all managing the emotional roller coasters that we're weaving day in and day out.
Well, hopefully, we'll be able to experience this together and be there for our kids and help them, process this challenging year and honor that well together at camp. I will say, when I started here 25 plus years ago, there were sort of separate silos. Lots of Shir Shalom kids went to Tamarack and other camps, but wasn't the relationship, right? It wasn't the connections. And very much in your 12 years, and Steve Engel as well, part of his legacy is building those connections, those relationships, that community building that you've helped grow even more from our Israel trips that we've done together. That I remember the first conversation sitting down and seeing what could be possible, because I tell you, starting Teen Mission in '96 and talking to Tamarack kids, oh, I can't go to Israel this summer, it's my Western trip. Oh, I can't go, it's my Alaska trip. I'm like, what are these trips? And I realized the pull of those, but then building Israel into that as a part of our community endeavor so that we all get to do it together. How spectacular, right? That when we work as a community like this, we all benefit, and our children benefit, and our community is strengthened, and we in the long run are building more Jews connected to community, to our world, seeing the world through a Jewish lens, which is really what it's all about for us.
We often say we are humbled and honored to be a community flagpole, and we round up at Degel together as a group. And Michael, one of the great honors of my work here has been working with you and the other clergy in our neighborhoods and around this community that support Jewish growth and the social causes of which we all share in its importance, and that we can play a part in that through a Jewish and camp lens and create that magic together. It is the honor and a really important calling that I value so much. We continue our work in that world together.
Awesome. Well, listen, I told you 15 minutes goes really, really quickly when you're having a conversation with a friend and connecting and sharing so naturally, because it's what you live, and I appreciate it very much. So listen, all of Tamarack's information is online, is on their website, and you can see the great things that they're doing. I'm looking forward to being in Ortonville this summer and hanging out and watching you run around and still be the same Lee, even though you're CEO now, though you have a great team who's working around you, great people that we enjoy working with too, and feel really blessed. And I look forward to a giant Lee Treppick hug that I haven't had in 8 months. It's like these awesome hugs, and well, we miss all hugging each other. It's strange, right? But yours are the best, my friend. And maybe a sip of some whiskey too, but that's different. So thank you. Really appreciate you being a part of our Monday morning musings. Hey, everyone from our community, the Shir Shalom community, tomorrow night is a Hot Topics class with me at 8 p.m. You can sign up online and get the Zoom link for that. Wednesday night is trivia night on November 11th. And lots of teams competing for big prizes. Temple Shir Shalom. Thursday, we're going back to Israel at noon with that class of Benny and Rabbi Daniel. And Friday night is our Veteran Shabbat, where we have a few veterans who will be zooming in and sharing some really poignant, important stories in honor of Veterans Day this past week, which is actually, of course, on Wednesday. So look forward to all of these times together, creating meaningful engagement for one another. And again, seeing the blessing of camp that really helps us in everything we're doing and things we bring back to Temple all the time. So thanks, Lee. Love our time together. Really appreciate you very much.
I feel privileged to have spent Monday morning with you. The time does go too fast, so I already look forward to our next get together. The team, we say that at Tamarack all the time. And I value that around this community and in my friendship with you. I also look forward to the next embrace, Michael, and appreciate the great work that you and your team continues to spread throughout this community. Thanks for letting Tamarack Camps be a part of it. It means the world to our team. And I wish you continued health as we continue to go forward.